Hello everyone, welcome to the latest edition of La Fida d'Italia podcast. Today, we'll get into Juventus' last match in the Club World Cup against Real Madrid, as well as some transfer news and rumors circulating around the club. Stay tuned. Before we get into the match against Real Madrid and the transfer talk, I have to start the show with some big news. Earlier this morning, Fabrizio Romano reported that Jonathan David to Juventus is a done deal. David's set to fly into Turin for a medical on Friday, with everything else expected to follow shortly after. This news is huge. It's our first signing of the summer, and it comes at a time when we desperately need a striker. But we'll get into this transfer more later in the show. First, let's dive into the match against Real Madrid. Okay, let's get right into this match. Real Madrid against Juventus in Miami at the Hard Rock Stadium. We're going to start with the formation and lineup for Juventus, and then we're getting to the formation and lineup for Real Madrid. But let's get into this. Tudor deployed his normal 3-4-2-1 formation. Di Gregorio got the nod in goal. Lloyd Kelly and Kalulu were center backs, and a surprise start, Daniele Rugani got the start to play in the back three with them, which I was very happy about. We'll get into that shortly. The midfield consisted of Andrea Cambiaso, Kefren Turam, Manuel Locatelli, and Alberto Costa on the other flank. Yildiz and Conceição got the start right behind Randall Colomwani. Pretty strong lineup. There were 6 changes from the last match against Manchester City. And again, I think they were just resting. Igor Tudor was resting these players. There was a lot of controversy about the players that he chose for the last match against Manchester City, the way they performed, the way they got killed. 5-2 was the result in that match. But again, I think it was just because he had to rest players. I don't think the result really mattered to them because either way, they would have had to play some tough teams. So again, here we are, the 6 changes, the strongest 11 in Tudor's opinion, got the start against Real Madrid. Real Madrid, they had a 3-5-2 formation that they deployed against us. Rudiger, Tchouaméni, and Housen got the start at the back. Dean Housen, our former Juventus player, playing against us. Thibaut Courtois was in the goal. Trent Alexander-Arnold played with Bellingham, Valverde, Arda Güler, and Garcia in the midfield. And up top, you had Vinicius Jr. and Garcia, the other youngster from Real Madrid. Let's get right into this game. The game started, and it seemed like a really tactical battle at first. Both teams weren't really putting that much of a high press in. They were happy to sit back, 11 men behind the ball at times. But I have to say, Juventus looked really comfortable in the first half, despite the statistics and whatever the commentary crew were saying about the game. The first half especially, I thought Juventus were very comfortable. They kept Real Madrid out of the box in the final third. I mean, I thought they were really compact. They defended really well. They pushed the ball outside. Real Madrid looked, they didn't know what to do in the final third. They were patient, but it didn't get them anywhere. I mean, Juventus were patient as well, defending. There wasn't any players going out of position to try to press the ball and a lapse in concentration, which I thought was very, very good, a good mindset coming into this match against one of the best teams in the world. And Real Madrid, their only chances came from shots outside the box. I mean, yes, Di Gregorio had to make the saves, but I mean, that they were shots from outside the box. So it was controlled from Juve. That's probably what they wanted. I mean, we'll take the shots from outside the box. I mean, if you're going to beat us, the mentality probably is beat us with, a long-range effort, like a, world-class shot, and beat Di Gregorio. But that didn't happen. So despite their efforts from long range. There was, however, one instance in the first half where there was a little bit of a scare. I believe it was Trent Alexander-Arnold who dribbled past Andrea Cambiaso on the right-hand side and our left-hand side. And he was coming in at a corner at a hard, impossible angle to score. And it almost seemed like he tried to chip the keeper, but there was never, I don't think there was any real trouble there because we had a bunch of defenders near the line and the chip wasn't really anything threatening. So other than that, like I said, they didn't really have many chances aside from the shots from outside the 18. On the flip side, Juventus had one golden opportunity, and this was 8 minutes into the match. And it was squandered by Randall Colomwani. It was great play between him and Kenan Yildiz from the back. It was literally from our 18-yard box, the corner of our 18-yard box on the left-hand side. And it was just interchange of play between Kenan Yildiz and a little flick from Colomwani. And Yildiz was then able to release Colomwani into space. And with Colomwani's pace, he had the defense beat, and it was him versus Thibaut Courtois. And instead of just finishing the ball and secured a goal for Juventus, which he should have just placed the corner, he tried a real cheeky attempt to chip Thibaut Courtois. He got it all wrong, went over the crossbar. If this goal goes in 8 minutes in, the game is different. It's a totally different game. The mentality changes. The game opens up, especially for Real Madrid. We were fresh in the first half, so they're exposed to different counterattacks and the pace on our attack. So, I mean, it could have changed the game, but that didn't happen. So the first half ended, and it was level, 0-0. And honestly, I have to say I was a little nervous going into the second half, mainly because Real Madrid's bench is stacked. I mean, they had Kylian Mbappe on the bench, Luka Modric, Dani Carvajal, Eder Militao, Rodrigo. I mean, the list goes on and on as to how many players they could have brought off the bench, and they could have been just as strong as the 11 they initially put out. So, I mean, aside from that, it was just, I kind of had the feeling that Xabi Alonso was going to make some tactical changes at the half, because I thought Juventus were the better of the team in the first half, despite the shot in possession toward the end of the half that Real Madrid, I think, ended the half with 57% possession. But I think up until like the 35th minute or so, the possession was pretty balanced. So, I mean, again, I thought Juventus controlled the first half. But the second half started. There was no changes from Juventus going into the second half. And in the 54th minute, lapse in concentration, we just let Garcia get into the box for a free header, and inside the 6-yard box, I mean, it's really hard to miss from there. He was wide open, unmarked, and it was actually good play. I have to give Rudiger credit, because I don't really like Rudiger, but you would have to give him credit. He really took Kalulu out of the picture for that, because Kalulu was right in the middle, and he probably could have won that header or made it hard and difficult for Garcia to finish that header. But Kalulu it was almost like a pick. He picked Kalulu off, and it kind of made Kalulu just stop playing. He froze because he didn't want to give a penalty, and then Rudiger just went down. So by doing that, he froze, gave Garcia that much more space in between. Alberto Costa was coming in behind him, and then Kalulu. So Garcia was found right in the middle of him, and he just had, like I said, he had all that time and space to really just nod that home. And from there, 1-0 down, I kind of got nervous. I was wondering how they were going to respond to that. And, they still defended pretty well. I mean, they were doing decent enough to keep the ball out of their box, and they were forcing the long-range efforts. Again, they were all long-range efforts, most of them. The only real danger from real close, which Di Gregorio had a fantastic point-blank save, was against Fede Valverde on the 6-yard box, a point-blank save from a bicycle kick. I mean, that was really the only main threat. Everything else, again, it was pushed from outside of the box, the shots from outside of the box. So, I mean, you can't really say Real Madrid dominated and they should have scored like 5-6 goals against us, because Juve did what they wanted, which was to keep the ball outside of their 18-yard box. So aside from that, I thought we looked really tired going into the second half, and then finishing the game. It was just a lot of tired legs, and this is really concerning, because I've seen this a lot with Juventus the past couple months, few months even. So I mean, they start the game really good, and then the second half, it just seems like all of them are like so tired and drained. But then you got these other teams who don't seem as exhausted and drained. So, I mean, it's really concerning. I really wonder what the fitness coaching is like at the club, if they need to make a change there or something. I mean, I know they already tried to make a change because of the injuries this past season, so they changed some of the medical staff. But, I mean, maybe that needs to be looked into as well, because it doesn't make sense how, teams like Real Madrid can run the entire 90 minutes, and it seems like they're going at full pace, and then we can't even last 45 minutes against these kinds of teams. So it really, again, it's concerning, but it is what it is. I have to say, the subs that Tudor made in this match, the game needed some subs. It was early on, probably around the 60th minute. I mean, the tired legs, it was evident. So I thought he should have brought on some players. He did bring on some players, but the players he took off were very questionable. So he took off Kenan Yildiz for Koop Miners. And Kenan Yildiz was very upset to be coming off. I mean, you can see it in his body language. He was not happy to be subbed off. And I have to agree with him. I mean, he was our best player on the pitch. Granted, at that moment in time, he only had 2 touches on the ball, I believe, in the second half. He didn't really touch the ball much. He wasn't really threatening at all. So, but on the flip side, they put Koop Miners in for him. And Koop Miners, in the last half hour, 35 minutes, did absolutely nothing. I mean, the only thing he had was he put the ball back from a cross that was far post. He just put it back in the middle where nobody was anyway. But that's into a dangerous area. But other than that, he didn't do anything. It was a waste of a player. There was no energy. Again, he just trots around in the field. It's a waste of 60 million. It really angers me to see this guy play, especially for Kenan Yildiz. The guy should be playing the whole game. Nico Gonzalez came in, and Filip Kostic came in as well. So Filip Kostic, this was a really, really interesting one because he came on early in the second half, and I don't know why he would put him on, especially after the horrific game against Manchester City. I mean, he just continued playing just as poorly this game as soon as he stepped on the field. I mean, he offered nothing. I mean, the guy just needs to be out of the squad, needs to be sold, or his contract needs to be terminated, something. I mean, this guy cannot be playing for us anymore. I mean, the player who should have went in was Wes instead of Kostic at that moment. Wes came on in the last 10 minutes of the game with Federico Gatti. At that point, the game was already over. I mean, it made no sense to put him on. Tudor was supposed to put him on in the 70th minute, but it did not work out that way. He pulled them back for some reason, had them put their training bibs back on, and waited an extra 10 minutes to put them on. For only Tudor knows the reasons for that, because the game, like I said, needed a change. And when West came on for the last 10 minutes, he looked lively, dangerous, energetic. I mean, this was a player who probably should have started from the second half, the kickoff of the second half. You know, and maybe he should have took off Locatelli earlier. You know, Locatelli should have been the one to come off at half. I mean, yeah, he put in a shift the first half, but maybe you take him out for tired legs, you put in Wes. Wes is more physical, he's quicker. You know, I think he's more technical than Locatelli on the ball. More dangerous going forward. But again, only Tudor knows his reasons. So other than that, though, there wasn't really much to write home about, I mean, in this second half. Vlahovic didn't get an appearance this game, which I thought was pretty crazy, because there were rumors going into this game that Vlahovic would be frozen out because of his, you know, the comments about his contract and how he wanted to run out his contract at Juve and become a free agent next year. And, you know, he didn't want to take the offer that the Saudi league offered him for the big money move, because he wants to be at a top club in Europe. I mean, again, this guy's not going to be playing at a top club in Europe, not the way he's playing, so I really don't understand what his deal is. He should just take the payday and go to Saudi and be done with it. But anyway, looks like they froze him out. I'm happy with that. Maybe he will actually move on now that he's being frozen out of the team. One player who I am very upset that did not get the start or even a appearance this game, which probably would have benefited us because we needed some creativity, is Douglas Luiz. I don't know why Tudor doesn't like him, or these managers have not liked him or to play him enough. He played the first game in the Club World Cup in the second 45 minutes, and he looked great. I mean, he was putting in passes over the top. He was switching play. I mean, his touches on the ball, he just looks so comfortable. But yet he doesn't get any play time against a team like Real Madrid when we needed some creativity in the middle of the park. So I don't know what's going to happen with Douglas Luiz, but it doesn't seem like he's in Tudor's plans, which is a shame, because I think he would be really beneficial now that he's healthy. But that's all I had for the game. I'm not too upset about the performance, given what we had available and what Tudor put out off the bench. So, I mean, we just have to recoup now and get ready for the upcoming Serie A season. Okay, let's get into the next segment of the show. We're going to talk about transfer news and rumors. The first transfer, I touched on this earlier in the show. Jonathan David basically signed. Huge news. I mean, we needed a striker signed. We have no strikers. The only available striker we have is Vlahovic and Arkadiusz Milik, who hasn't played in years. So, and probably, let's be honest, on his way out. And so is Vlahovic. So we have no striker. So this was huge. We need to sign at least one more striker, in my opinion, especially if Vlahovic leaves. So this was huge. There are rumors that suggest the next big move will be for Victor Osimhen, with reports saying that Juve have already received his approval. So while Juve was working on Jonathan David, apparently they were also trying to get the approval from Victor Osimhen to say that he would join the club before they even started negotiating with Napoli. So now that they have his approval, they're going to get Jonathan David deal over the line. They're going to go to Napoli and they'll start negotiating for a price for Victor Osimhen. If that falls through, I think the rumors are that Juve will look at either Retegui from Atalanta or even the latest rumor, Marcus Thuram from Inter, who is reportedly unhappy at Inter now after Lautaro's comments in their last game. So he's also being considered. But we'll see how this develops. I want to talk about the defensive concerns. Okay? So I want to just say, after last game and this whole Club World Cup, Kalulu is not a starter. You know, again, all these fans were trying to say that he's the next big thing. You know, he was so great coming on loan from Milan. They hope we sign him, everything like that. So I don't know. I just don't think he's a starter. I honestly don't think he's a starter. Moving on from Kalulu, Lloyd Kelly. Again, I don't know how many times I have to say it. He does not belong wearing our shirt, wearing our colors. This guy is awful. Is awful. They need to try to offload him this summer if they can, or loan him out or something. If you can't sell him, try to loan him out or something, because it's awful. I mean, he's bad. I have to say, aside from those two, Daniele Rugani, another player that's been on the outs and rumored to be leaving again, even though he just came back from his loan, I think Rugani has proven that he's a solid defender once again, and right now, he's our best option outside of Bremer. Let's be honest. Gatti's fallen off since Tudor has taken charge. I don't know if it's because of his injuries or the flu-like symptoms that they said he was having in the Real Madrid game, which is why he didn't start and Rugani started over him. Whatever the case may be, Rugani playing against Real Madrid did really well. I thought he did excellent, phenomenal job shutting down their offensive players. True defenders like Bremer, Gatti, and Rugani, those are solid enough, I think, to keep. I think if we go into the season with those three and Kalulu as our fourth choice center back, I think I'd be okay with that, assuming we don't land any new defenders. Now, I'd love to see Juve sign Araujo from Barcelona. I really would. And if they can get him for the 30 million price tag that was being thrown around last week, that would be phenomenal. Because at this point, Leone from Parma seems really far off, because Parma want 40 million for him apparently from all these different teams in Italy. So I just don't see him leaving Parma unless somebody's in dire need of a center back. And I'm not sure what's happening with Comuzzo from Fiorentina, but I would take him also. If Araujo isn't possible, I would take Comuzzo from Fiorentina, because you need a defensive reinforcement. He's young, Italian. He's proved his worth at Fiorentina last season. Let's move on from the center backs, go to the wing backs. We desperately need one or two wing backs. One at least we need. I really hope for that Juve would push for Theo Hernandez. I think his work ethic is incredible. I think he has the engine to run the entire game, which is exactly what we're lacking lately. And with that being said, he's probably going to be signing with Al Hilal after the tournament, because Juve dropped the ball on this one. Reports from Fabrizio Romano again suggest that the club doesn't want to announce Theo while another fullback is still playing for them at this tournament. Makes sense, I guess, because you don't want the fullback to just stop caring and not give his all. But if he really goes, that's an opportunity wasted for us. Now, we always looked gas early in the second half. Like I mentioned, the past few months, I've noticed in the second half, we've always looked gas. And if Theo doesn't happen, I would really like us to go after Molina from Atletico Madrid, the other outside back. I think he's another one. I think he has a pretty good engine. I think he can offer something on the wing back role. Maybe he can even start for Alberto Costa, and Alberto Costa can, just go under his wing a little bit, and you have that friendly competition for that right back spot, and it even pushes players. I mean, you saw when Alexandro and Patrice Evra were there, how, these players, when you have players in the same position that are so good, they push each other to new heights and new limits. So, I think you need some competition in each position. Players that, have the same type of, or are rated the same kind of, I guess. So then they can push each other to get better and better, and you just keep going from there. I mean, we saw it with Juve. I mean, they even had Lichtsteiner, they had Dani Alves. You know, you had all those center backs. You had Mehdi Benatia, Bonucci, Barzagli, Chiellini, all one better than the other. In the midfield, you had those. Let's not forget the midfield that they had. I'm not even going to go into that because it's a thing of the past. But again, I think you need competition in each position. Now, the most likely option at wing back right now appears to be Wesley from Flamengo. Reports suggest that Flamengo want 40 million euros for Wesley, but I would never pay 40 million for him. Juve are only willing to offer 25 if reports are to be taken seriously. And honestly, I agree. I mean, Juve want to offer 25. I think that's a perfect price for him. You know, I think that's good. I think he's done well enough to earn that 25 million euro price tag, especially in today's market. So we'll keep an eye on that situation for the wing back roles. Let's move into the midfield now. Douglas Luiz, touched on this earlier, but he continues to be linked with an exit from this club. Some Juve accounts have even said that he's been told to find a new club by Tudor and the management. I honestly really wish that Tudor would give this guy a proper chance. I think he's the most creative midfielder we have. I think he's got vision. I think he can create stuff. I mean, we saw it in the game, even though it was against, you know, inferior competition, he still did good in that second half, and he was the most creative. He was creating chances out of every other player on the pitch, aside from Yildiz. So, I mean, I really wish he would really get more play time. But time will tell if this guy's going to get sold or if he's going to stay or, you know, what the case is with him. So, more to come on that as the transfer window unfolds. You know, there is talk of this other midfield player to replace Douglas Luiz. Now, if Douglas Luiz were to leave, Morten Hjulmand from Sporting would be signed, apparently, if Douglas Luiz departs the club. The rumors are 40 million price tag is on Hjulmand. I don't know if I like this move. I think 40 million is a lot for this guy. I mean, I was watching some of the highlights the other day when I read or yesterday, whatever it was, when I read this report, and he's not a bad player, but I don't think he's worth 40 million. At that point, I think you might as well just keep Douglas Luiz and see what he can offer you this season. So, I don't know, but we'll see what happens, because I don't think we need to touch center midfield. I touched on this before in my other podcast episodes. I mean, the center midfield, I think we have so many players that can play this position. We really need to focus on the defense and the attacking path. And, you know, if we have the extra money, if we have, you know, we're able to sell and move some players, then you got to spend on a really creative, good quality center midfield to add to the center midfield, not just another mediocre player. Let's move on to the attack. Weah and Mbangula are still rumored to be leaving from all the reports that I've read. You know, Chico's future remains uncertain. You know, Porto won't accept anything under 30 million from what I've read, and Juve don't want to sign him for the 30 million. I've already said what I thought about that. I think Chico's young enough. I think 30 million is a steal for a player of his age. So we'll see what happens with that. But Juve are pushing hard to sign Jadon Sancho from Manchester United, and he is willing to take a pay cut, according to reports, to join us, because that was one of the big obstacles in the way of signing Jadon Sancho last summer was his wages. So that fell through. But now the reports are that he wants to join. He's willing to take a pay cut. So now it's all up to the clubs to negotiate a fee. Juve want to pay around 15 to 20 million from a few reports that I've read. Manchester United want at least 25 million. So we'll see if they can find some common ground on that and come to a deal. I mean, the rumored salary for Jadon Sancho, to go back to his wages, the rumored salary that Juve would be offering him is around 5 million euros per year, with 3 million euros in add-on bonuses, which I feel personally it's a little too high. I think 4 million is a more reasonable number per year for Jadon Sancho, and if he doesn't come, then you keep Conceição, because I think Conceição is so young and he has room to grow, and I think he's doing well under Igor Tudor. So we'll see what happens with that situation. Let's go into the striker situation now. So we'll continue this from our conversation earlier. Jonathan David is all but secured. You know, we're just waiting on the medical like I said, it's going to take place on Friday. And I already mentioned the Osimhen push, you know, and if that falls through, it'll likely be Retegui or Marcus Thuram maybe. So that leaves Kolo Muani's future very uncertain. You know, is his time in Turin already over after that big miss in yesterday's game? I don't know. it doesn't seem likely that he'll stay if Juve land Jonathan David and another striker. Let's be honest. If they sign Jonathan David and then they go after and make the big push for Victor Osimhen, I cannot see them making Kolo Muani's move permanent. The only way I see him staying another year is on loan. Again, but then he'd be fighting for the second choice spot behind Jonathan David. And that's assuming that we sign Victor Osimhen first and keep the 3-4-2-1 formation and only have the one striker playing. He would have to be competing with Jonathan David for that second spot, because none of them are going to start over Victor Osimhen if we sign him, because I think Victor Osimhen is one of the best strikers, if not the best striker in the world right now. So we'll see what happens with that. But the squad, as a summary for the squad, I really think we just need, two strikers, or really just one top-tier striker. So, I mean, Jonathan David isn't that top-tier striker, so I think he's a good striker. We'll have to see how he does. He did really good in the French league this past season, but the Serie A is a whole different league, so we'll see how he does. But I really do think Victor Osimhen, he's proven in the Serie A, I think that would be that really top-tier quality striker to finish those chances that we need, like the 1 or 2 chances that you can get in a match. I think Victor Osimhen can turn 1 point into 3 points, So I really think they should try to push for him if they have the funds available to do it. I do think they need at least one quality center back and one quality wing back, if not 2. So your center backs, like I said, I think those 4 center backs, I think it's okay for this upcoming season. I think it's okay. And then the next year you can focus on, bringing in some top signings in the center back position. But I think right now you focus on getting a wing back or 2. You drop the ball on Teo Hernandez. Maybe you can hijack that still. I have no idea. I mean, time will tell, because it depends on how Al Hilal does in the tournament, if they keep going on further, because if they keep doing that and prolonging the signing, maybe it leaves another team, gives them another chance to step in and make that swoop. So hopefully Juventus can do that. If not, they need a quality wing back. The midfield, like I said, is fine for now. We have plenty of depth there. I don't think you have to touch the midfield. But if you can move players like Douglas Luiz, which they want to move, Koop Miners, Weah, Mbangula, Nico Gonzalez, Vlahovic, and Kelly, I think we'd open up a lot more options, because we'd have so much more funds available from those sales. One potential name to watch if these sales of all the players I just mentioned do go through would be Sandro Tonali, because he is a name that has been linked to Juventus for a while now, and he is a top quality center midfield. And I think adding him, he's an Italian midfielder, put him back in the Serie A, I think that would be a huge addition for our center midfield. So, but that's only if we were able to raise the funds to do that. Otherwise, the center mid department, like I said, doesn't need changing. That's it for today's episode. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you enjoyed the show, be sure to subscribe, leave a rating or a review, share it with a friend. You can also follow me on La Fidanzata d'Italia podcast on Instagram, Facebook, and X for more updates. But I'll catch you next time. Until then, fino alla fine, forza Juve.